Hi, everyone. Welcome to this rendition of Monday Morning Quarterback. Got to keep finding ways to say episode. Rendition's a good one. Got to go back into the thesaurus and find some more. I'm joined here today by Josh Carpenter, who's a senior enterprise account executive at InflowCX. If you're just listening for the first time, this Monday Morning Quarterback podcast series, InflowCX is breaking down customer experiences that could be improved. Right? You go out and play quarterback on a Saturday or a Sunday, and you watch film on Monday, and it's really easy to play a Monday morning quarterback. So that's what we do on this podcast. We look at experiences that could be improved and make recommendations on one or multiple ways to improve those experiences. Like I said, I'm joined here by Josh, and he's got an experience that he wants to bring to the table and see if we can hash out a good way to solve it. So Josh, first off, thank you so much for joining us. So it'd be really lonely if I was doing this by myself, but I'm glad to have you here. Talk us through what you're experiencing, and yeah, let's just take it from there.
Yeah, I mean, recently, I travel quite a bit. I'm in sales. I'm traveling all over the country. And when I was asked, hey, do you have any good customer experiences, bad customer experiences to talk about? Anybody who knows me knows I'm a sneaker guy. I have all kinds of customer experiences all the time. Never shy to engage in some purchasing and getting that customer experience. But shockingly, one of my most recent kind of customer experiences worth looking at in something like this was actually with my credit union. I've banked with the same place since I was probably 5 years old. My mom worked for the credit union, opened me up a little account, and I've just literally had the same account and the same credit union, same name, same everything for 42 years now. So it's shocking that I would have kind of a negative there, but you'd think if anybody knew me, it would be them. But I was traveling, and it's a West Coast based credit union. So when we moved out to the Nashville area, we went through a lot to update our addresses and things like that. And because I travel so much, we set travel notifications all the time with the credit union. We know the process. Don't ever want to be out stranded without access to my money. So we put travel notifications on, and it's so weird because like 3 straight trips when I came home back to Nashville, then my card would get locked when I'm trying to pay to leave the airport parking garage. And it's like, what is happening here? We put on travel notification. We notified the day I was returning. I'm back in my own region. I go to pay to get out of a parking garage. Nobody around because it's all automated, and you just swipe the card and the arm lifts up, right? And the card declines. And then I try to use it again and it declines. And then I realize like it gives you a warning, card locked or fraud detected or something is what the little readout said. And I was like, what? So I called my credit union. It says your account's suspended, locked due to suspected fraudulent activity. Call back during business hours to talk to an agent. And I'm like, what? It's 11 o'clock on a Friday night. I'm trying to get out of this parking garage. Fortunately, had a credit card, just swiped it, got the heck out of there, and then had to deal with calling the credit union the next morning. And, I've been a member. You get the enter your passcode to get into the call center. Fine. Verify your account. Fine. And then you talk to an agent and they're like, what's your call center passcode? So then I'm verified again. It's not like I've got $1 million in the bank. I mean, I always like that they're protecting customers. I get that. But like I've authenticated so many different times now, touch tone, verbal passcode, voice into an agent, and then I have to go through this process of like 5 minutes of approving or verifying that the last 3 days worth of transactions, which if you're in sales or you travel for your job, there's a lot of transactions happening. Yeah. So now I've got to verify 72 hours worth of transactions. And, it's like, wow, what am I doing here? So wait for the agent. It was pretty wild. So it happened 3 times in a row. I've moved on now to pay in different ways, but that was a super negative, and the last one fired me up pretty good. So
yeah, no, rightfully so, man. That's a lot to unpack. There's definitely better ways to do it. I mean, first and foremost, outside of the contact center, got to be some sort of hey, I've got this travel notice, but now when I'm trying to pay for something back in my home zip code where I live, maybe don't log my card. It's the first one, right? But outside of that, there's a lot of things I think that could help your specific situation, right? So I think the first one is, hey, I have to call into the contact center. Fine. Okay. I get it. There are the things I have to do and ways I have to call in. That's totally acceptable. But I have to call in and it's after hours, and I don't have any option to either self-serve or talk to someone if I can't self-serve. So that's the big one for me, right? I mean, if there is a situation where there's an emergency, there's expected fraud, you'd expect that either A, there's some way to self-serve and go through, hey, your card's locked, either wait till tomorrow or press 1 if this is an emergency and we'll get you some help. And whether that's a bot or whether that, transfers maybe to an after hours team, or if you don't care to or don't want to as a business staff after hours contact center agents, there's always the option to outsource just that function, right? I think a lot of times businesses think about outsourcing, especially ones who, really care about security, customer experience, things like that, and go, oh, we don't want to outsource or, think of offshore. A lot of people, I think, term outsourcing and offshoring as synonymous when really they're two completely separate things. You certainly can have after hours support offshore, but there are plenty domestic US based companies that, this is what they do. They have teams that come in and handle, the night shift for things just like this. So you can outsource just maybe one portion of that, to an organization to give customers like you the option to say, all right, I want to try to self-serve on unlocking my card. Maybe I can, great. Maybe I can't for whatever reason. That's fine too. At least get me to someone who can help, because lucky for you, you had other cards and you could get out of the parking garage. But, there are people out there who they've got the debit card and maybe they don't have any cash on them or anything like that. And like you said, the kiosk to pay is agentless. There's not a person there. So, I guess, I don't know, they're sleeping in their car in the parking garage, unfortunately, in those scenarios. I think one of the other, I think that's it, right? You've got to give people a way to interact and solve their issues. The other thing you mentioned is the authentication and just taking a lot. We've talked about this previously too, and feel like it's a big challenge that a lot of companies face, right? There's all this data that's very disjointed. And oftentimes, I think we had a different guest one time say, hey, I asked them like, hey, I just authenticated. Don't you, why do I have to go through this whole process again? And the agent's response is, oh, well, I don't have access to that information or that system. And it's because you've got all these technology and data silos. So combine all those or find a way to authenticate. There are a lot of technologies out there today, really, cool, unique, neat ones, where depending on how you're calling into the contact center, when you've got Face ID on iPhone, you do Face ID. And when you're calling in, it's, oh, hi, Mr. Carpenter. I see, you're calling because maybe your card's locked. Can you verify maybe one thing for me? Or not even if you already did Face ID. So I think there's a lot there, right? The biggest thing for me is, A, give someone the opportunity to get unlocked, whether that be via self-service, automation, or go talk to a live person, even if it isn't an employee of that credit union. There's combining them now. There's outsourcing ability or opportunity there. And then B, when you do finally get to talk to a person, you've got to make it easy to authenticate. A, for you as the customer, just better customer experience. And B, from the business standpoint, you don't really want to have to overstaff because you have to have your agents talking to someone for 10, 15 minutes to do something simple like unlock their card. You've proven it's you, and it's really easy to do that, right? It doesn't take that long. If they want to go through, and verify all 72 hours of transactions, that's fine too. But I think there's a much easier way to do that. Would love your thoughts on maybe some of those ideas, or even if you have any other ones.
Yeah. Honestly, you made a great point, because the first step for me is always actually the mobile app. I work in this industry, and it's funny how much at times I'll try and avoid having to engage anybody, just because I know at least usually what I'm doing with technology and like what's going on. So first place I went was the app, and it would have been great to you mobile, you face authenticate into the phone, and then it's like, were these purchases you? I feel like that could have been a pretty quick, easy little push button of, yep, that's me. Yep, that's me. Yep, that's me. Nope, that's not me. Unlock my card and let's sort that out or whatever. And the other part of it is, if I looked at it from outside of me, I'd kind of be like, what? Well, why doesn't he just move to a local credit union or whatever? It's like,
yeah.
To me, to be honest, it's kind of like, I almost feel locked in. I've toyed with the idea, but at the same time, it's like, well, then I have to adjust my direct deposit. As a customer, I have to adjust my direct deposit. I have to adjust my auto bill pays. Routing numbers are set place. It's like, man, it's a lot of work to change all this. So they kind of got me. They play on my laziness there, I guess. But it is very frustrating to then have to, go through the steps of calling in and verifying all this stuff. And I mean,
Sure. Well, hey, what my solution is as, your sales leader. Go help that company, man. It's your credit. You work there forever. Right. Get in there, help them, let's get them fixed.
So if you get an email soon from somebody named Josh Carpenter who says, "Hey, I've had a poor customer experience with you," it's me. Let's get that fixed. So many options.
Cool. Awesome. Well, hey, Josh, I mean, good actionable bite-sized tips, I think, here for this specific, credit union. But look, there are tons and tons and tons of organizations just like them, not picking on any one particular company here. It's really, really common in CX, but I think especially with credit unions too. They're a big vertical that we're finding a lot of ability and opportunity to improve with and helping a lot of customers fix some of these things. So, hey, thanks for coming on and sharing your story. I think really good, insightful, actionable tips. And yeah, appreciate you coming on.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. Good chat.
Yeah, you bet.